The Ballad of the Level Boost. You guys ready? Here we go. That's good. I'm gonna resize it.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You see the title, you see the video duration, and you're like, oh god, it's finally happened.
Yep.
He's gone postal. No worries, I'm fine. Honestly, it's just a big change with the game, so naturally, it warrants a big video, that's all.
Yep.
So, as you may know, the level boost was announced for TBC Classic recently. There's been a lot of discussion surrounding it, and I wanted to weigh in myself here.
Okay.
I want to go on record here saying that I didn't want to make this video. I know that's like the biggest cliche on YouTube.
Me too, because I'm
but
lazy.
Really, it's true. This is an unpleasant subject for me. The discussion surrounding it is very toxic.
Yes.
I know it's going to make a lot of people...
I think that the conversation around it has been really toxic too. The reason why I think that it's been really toxic is because people have been able to portray the different positions as basically they've like mischaracterized them in a negative way. So they say that the streamers that are for it are just for it because they're out of touch losers, and generally there's like a large contingency of like the classic WoW community that just reflexively dislikes streamers. So I think that it makes it very easy for them to kind of paint people in a bad light and then vilify them in that way. And I think on the other side it's obviously like lazy casuals.
Angry. And to that end, just keep in mind, it is my opinion, and it isn't meant to make anyone angry.
Well, it did.
Anyone who's a regular to the channel can probably guess that I'm against it.
Yeah.
In general, I'm not a fan of cash shops. They do work and they make sense in some games, but I personally think that they don't in Classic, as I'll explain. But whatever the case is, I want to stress constructiveness in this video. I said that there's... What?
Is that Mr. Dog?
Saying hi? Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yep.
As I was saying, I said that there's been a lot of discussion about it, but really, it's more just arguing and toxicity. It's hard to find a discussion where people are debating the points. It seems to me that people are more debating that they're 100% correct, and the other party is 100% incorrect, which usually isn't the way the world works.
Apparently MadSeason doesn't go on Twitter.
Like, I guarantee that there's a certain percentage of people who just heard me say that I'm against the boost, so the switch has flipped on, and they're thinking that anything and everything this guy could possibly say is irrelevant
is wrong
and incorrect.
That's right.
It literally doesn't matter what I could say. It could turn out that foregoing the level boost would lead to world peace and pure happiness for everyone on Earth. There would still be those who would reply, yeah, but that's not fair to those who don't have time to level. Stop being selfish, you nerd.
Yep.
Well, really, let's be honest here. That's not a discussion. I've invested what some would consider an unhealthy amount of time thinking about and researching this topic.
I mean, like, if there's a way to invest an unhealthy amount of time into something WoW-related, MadSeason has probably not only done it, but then made a video that he's invested an unhealthy amount of time in making the video about doing it and the process of doing it. So, yes, this is accurate.
In the past 3-ish weeks, I've been reading forums, talking one-on-one with Blizzard developers, streamers, YouTubers, players, the works. And if you truly care about the game as much as a guy who spent approximately 120 hours of his life making a 1-hour video about the recreation of a 15-year-old video game, you listen to my points just as much as I've listened to yours.
Yeah, okay.
So I just wanted to put it out here that the overall goal of this video is to have an actual discussion about a pretty major feature coming to DBC Classic. The biggest thing is to not take it personally. The goal of this video isn't even to necessarily sway your opinion, it's to let you know exactly what you're getting with the level boost, because it's not just a level boost. It comes with many strings attached, and these strings have the potential to tear down core design pillars that make Classic World of Warcraft Classic World of Warcraft.
I agree with this.
Is it this world-ending thing? Of course not, but at the end of the day, this is a paid service in a game that didn't have it back then, that wasn't designed with it in mind, and that it will indeed have cascading effects, as I'll explain.
I agree with
that. So forgive me for the extra long intro, but I just wanted to front load it with all of this because, as I've said, it's been a rather nasty and sensitive...
The thing is, like, the people are so fucking nuts nowadays, he has to actually start the video out with a 3-minute disclaimer. Like, he has to. Like, or there's gonna be like a million hate threads about it.
Subject. This year's BlizzCon revealed many details about the highly anticipated recreation of Blizzard's hit 2007 expansion to World of Warcraft, The Burning Crusade.
Those were the days.
The word of the day is changes. Video game re-releases are always tricky because there's a special balance that you want to hit in recreating the original game, but at the same time sticking true to what made it special. And as hard as that is, it's even harder for MMOs because you always have that multiplayer aspect. What other people do has an effect on your gameplay, either directly or indirectly, so from the get-go, developers are in this dilemma. Many of us saw in Vanilla Classic the repercussions of staying too true to the original. The no changes method, in an attempt to preserve the original experience as much as possible, was
I hate to say it, but like one of the coolest things in Classic is everybody taking the Griffin at the same time. I think that's fucking badass.
sabotaged in some ways, as they learned that recreating the game versus recreating the experience are two very different things.
Very
and you
true.
saw this in the form of world buffs, raid logging, and the general easy difficulty of raiding, to name just three. Back then, when the idea of changes was unheard of, I always joked that people would freak out over their farts smelling different because that's what it seemed like, and the idea of a level boost would have sent the community into nuclear overdrive. But
well, the thing is, like, also, realistically, Classic WoW is like an entire experience of like levels 1 to 60. Like TBC is really just an update of 58 to 70. So it is different, but at the same time, leveling in TBC was still something that many people did, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And I worry about this a lot. I do. And I don't really worry about the boost fundamentally, but I worry about the mindset behind why people are okay with the boost. They're okay with the boost because they don't have time to play the game. And that's the same reason why the game changed to the point to where they wanted Classic in the first place.
I've said, things have changed, and many big changes were announced in the Burning Crusade Classic.
Oh, yeah.
And overall, from what I can tell, the community has been quite receptive because
Yes.
we've all seen what the hands-off approach can bring. Arena tweaks, shared paladin seals, gated raids, and of course, the level boost, which brings me to the meat and potatoes of this video.
I'm hungry.
At BlizzCon, it was announced that the classic Burning Crusade will have the level boost service, which is a paid service that will instantly bring one character of your choice to 58. It is limited to one use per account, and it is 58, not 70, which is of course the cap for the Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
And you can only use it on the Burning Crusade Classic servers. The Classic Era realms, which are the permanent non-Fresh 60 servers, will not be available for this boost.
That's
and
good,
you can't use it on
obviously.
the new races, the Blood Elf and the Draenei. The reasoning for this, provided by Blizzard in their official FAQ, is there's this person who wants to play BC, but they don't want to level through the old world. They're not going to play unless this boost exists.
That is such a huge, in my opinion, a terrible way of making the game. Like, it's just so bad. Because what they're saying is, like, some people just don't want to play part of the game, so just remove that part of the game for those people. And that's actually been the logic and the mindset that Blizzard used for years in the game, and they fragmented the player base more and more and more. I really worry about that. It's true, though. The thing is, though, is, like, if you have a player who is not going to play the game unless they get like a massive boost to their character, is that really the kind of people that you want to appeal your game to if it's an MMO? I think that one of the big mistakes Blizzard made is trying to make the game appeal to everyone instead of appeal to their specific audience. Like, for example, I think Path of Exile does a great job of this. Path of Exile doesn't really make their game appeal to a large audience, but the audience that it does appeal to, it really makes those people happy. And I think that's why the game is so healthy in its seasons. Yeah, harvest changes are not ideal, right? But like as a general rule, I think this is true.
So because of these restrictions and the overall climate of the community's receptiveness to changes has created two sides. The boosts are good for the game, as they'll bring more people in who otherwise wouldn't play because they're allowed to skip the hurdle of leveling, and the people against boosters who think about all of the bad that it'll bring. The boosters and the anti-boosters. And don't worry, we'll talk about all of the bad, but again, I said that I wanted this video to be constructive, so first I do want to talk about and acknowledge the good because, after all, That's what a discussion is.
I do also want to add a caveat to what I said. Realistically, most people do not level in Classic WoW the way that they used to. So whenever you think of leveling in Classic WoW, you think of killing bears in Hillsbrad Foothills. The reality is that most people in Classic WoW buy gold and then pay a mage to AoE dungeons for them. So it's really not the same experience, and I think that's probably the strongest argument for boosting that I can think of, is that because the leveling experience is so dramatically different than what it was, and this is an outcome of the community, that the value of that leveling experience and the cachet of it, or the novelty of it, is diminished, and it doesn't matter enough to where boosting really would make a difference. That's what I think the two arguments are.
You don't just ignore and dismiss the opposing
I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying these are the two
perspectives. Do the same for me when we get to the bad. I can see a couple of benefits with the boost. One is just what Blizzard has in the FAQ. It will absolutely bring in people who otherwise wouldn't play.
That's true.
What's better for the health of a game than more people playing it, especially in the case of multiplayer games? It's the bandwagon effect. Yep. The more people play something, the better it looks. People see a packed Stormwind like this, and they're like, dang, this game is popular.
That's true.
There must be something to it. It's one of the reasons why every couple months we see a new game just blast off into orbit. Fort Skin, Among Us, and the newest one, Valheim. These games are all great in their own right, but a big part of why they're successful is this bandwagon mentality. Look at everyone having fun. I want to do that.
I'm unironically a bandwagoner. Like, I'm actually a bandwagoner. Like, I will fucking go and I'll watch a stream and I'll see, like, oh, a lot of people playing this game, and then I go and I play the game.
The reason why companies will pay the most popular streamers money to play their game on stream for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
It's a huge marketing strategy.
That's a big
truth. It works in the opposite direction as well. If hardly anyone plays a game, your first impression is that there must be something wrong with it.
Yeah,
right?
game sucks.
And the next point kind of goes hand in hand with point one, is that it allows people to more easily play with their friends. Maybe it's not the grind that's the issue.
True.
It's doing the grind alone, so fast tracking to 58
wouldn't be
solves
alone.
that issue.
You'd have the mage in your group.
So that's the good, according to Blizzard in their official FAQ. They're simple, but strong points for what they are.
Somebody's giving me gold. Thank you.
The first point I'd like to bring up for the anti-boost is that I feel like this target audience that Blizzard set up doesn't match and is inconsistent with the restrictions that they currently have set up for the boost. And I have one short but simple question that I'd like for you to answer.
Okay.
If this were truly for this player who hasn't leveled yet and wants to play with their friends, why is it that those who already have level 58 characters are able to purchase it?
Really makes you think.
If your goal is to recreate the experience and bring in new players, while at the same time not negatively impacting the game in a major way, anybody who already has a level 58 now on whatever server they plan on playing on has no need for a paid level boost. You would just have to lock out server transfers on these boosted characters.
I mean, I'm going to use my character boost 100%. I'm going to level Paladin. Like, I'm a level Paladin, I'm a fucking tank. It's gonna be so... I cannot wait, man. I cannot fucking wait. And no, you can't say same, because then you're gonna take my gear. Nobody else can roll Paladin except me. But yeah, anyway, I actually need to do that soon so I can start doing MCs to get them Thunder Fury. But what I'm saying is, like, this whole thing, right, is... It does seem weird that only people that have 58s can do it. It does seem really weird.
Obviously, or else people would just bring one over to their realm. I understand that Blizzard is a business and they need to make money, but it doesn't need to be done at the expense of the game, which I'll be talking about throughout the course of this video.
It's free.
But
okay, that's what I thought. Like, then why... Wait a minute. Let me go back and read this again. We're at 849.
So, that's the good.
Not be usable in Classic Era realms. Players are limited to boosting only one character per account. Okay, so then that doesn't even matter. People already have a 58 can still buy a boost? Well, yeah, because they want to play an alt. I think that's the best, like, that's the most okay thing about it. Like, you've already leveled once. If you want to boost another character, that's, like, that's the least bad thing possible. Yeah, you've already gotten a character, and you want to boost another one, that's totally different than boosting your first character, to me.
Course of this video. But back to my question, if your answer to it is, well, it wouldn't be fair to those who already have a 58 that they can't buy the boost.
That's true.
That means you're acknowledging that a paid level boost does give you an advantage. And if you really want to bring up the word fair, how's it fair that there are those who already leveled from 1 to 60 that now people can just pay to skip it? That doesn't seem very fair.
Yeah.
And even putting that aside, if the boost does come out, there will be those who won't buy it because they just lack the disposable income. So why is it okay that you get to buy the boost if there will always be those who can't?
That is true.
If sacrificing gameplay for convenience is an objectively superior game design, then why does Classic even exist in the first place? It's the textbook definition of the game adapting to the player instead of the player adapting to the game, which is one of the major reasons people cite for quitting Current in the first place.
I think that's what happened, though, is like the game is adapting to the player because the player adapted to the game, okay? Like, this is meta. But, like, what I'm saying is that the player adapting to the game is people negating the leveling experience in Classic WoW by just boosting characters through mages. And then the game adapting to the player is adding the boost, so that process is not necessary.
Hey, you can't argue the fact that the game became the giant that it is today and peaked in popularity because they kept this core design philosophy in mind. It was right around here is when the growth stopped and started taking a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
And maybe coincidentally, this is when we first saw the major cash shop services, the race change, and the faction change.
What this is like Wrath of the Lich King is like smoking weed in high school. It's like, it's really cool while you're doing it, but as time goes on, you start doing, you know, like, let's say somebody starts doing more drugs and, you know, things start going downhill. Now we're into Cataclysm. Right at the very end of Cataclysm, the new raid comes out. It's called Meth. And, you know, you get excited about that. It goes up a little bit. And then suddenly you find out, oh, my God, you know, this fucking raid sucks. Jesus, this raid's really, really bad. And you get to the very, very bottom there and you think, okay, we've got to find another raid that's even better than that. How about heroin? And then, oh my God, you get a massive boost and then it goes right down to the fucking bottom. That's the way I feel like I don't even, like, I took the analogy way too far, but the point is that Wrath fucking was good in a vacuum, but the fucking things they did for the game in Wrath were bad for the game in the future. Okay, weirdest analogy. Yeah, well, halfway through the analogy, I realized that it sounded stupid, so I recalibrated it, and I said something else instead.
Not just that, but also the adoption of this backwards mentality that the game must adapt to the player.
I saved it,
but
yeah.
I'm getting off topic here, back to the boost. I have a second question for you as well.
What?
Again, if the goal is the overall health in the game and to bring in as many players as possible, why even charge a fee for the level boost?
Okay.
If it were free, wouldn't that bring in even more people? Well, then it would really be broken. You may as well not even have the Eastern Kingdoms in Kalimdor at that point, because it's straight to the Outland for 90% of the player base.
Oh,
but
you
somehow this arbitrary dollar amount makes it okay, which is a lot to some people and nothing to others. One of the main issues I have is that you're creating an in-game advantage based off of a real-life wealth disparity.
True.
And such is the issue with in-game cash shops, since in-game cash shops have existed.
That is true. Who thinks they're going to do the WoW token in TBC? 1 in chat if you think they're going to do WoW token, 2 in chat if they won't. I'd say we're looking at about 80% once. Maybe, now maybe like 75, 80, 70%, somewhere around there. Gold buying is really bad at the moment. Well, hey, the WoW token is a lot easier than actually doing your job. And they fired the people that do those jobs, so probably going to do the WoW token.
And for my next point, although it is restricted now, how long is it until we see that maybe it's not 1 per account anymore? Maybe it takes you to 70 now instead of 58. I mean, if you skip 57 levels, why not 69? You know what, guys? BC Classic has been out for 6 months at this point. It's not that big of a deal. Why is this level boost still restricted?
Yeah.
While we're at it, let's just bring out the race change and faction change early. Dang, these bots are a real big problem. I don't know how, but ever since TBC launched with the level boost, things got really bad. Surely
Yeah.
being able to start from level 58 had no impact whatsoever on the massive botting problems the game has right now.
I think also, you can, like, this is clearly a slippery slope analogy and, or fallacy, excuse me. Now, slippery slope fallacies are really interesting because they're not always fallacies, and they're also used in many other cases. Like, you have like a salesman has the idea of getting your foot in the door. Like, this is a codified technique that salesmen use that follows the same paradigm as the slippery slope fallacy, but it actually does work, and it's something that many salesmen use. So I don't really think that people that use the slippery slope fallacy are necessarily ever wrong or right, but whenever you're using something like this, it's definitely important to look at how realistic is the extrapolation of the original event going to be. Do you see what I'm saying? So like for example, like how much can you extrapolate out of that original event to say, oh, this is going to be where we're going to end up?
I hope that Blizzard brings out the WoW token so players can buy gold from them instead of bots, because that always does a really good job at stopping botting.
Wait, look at
Current
that.
has zero issues with bots.
Wait a minute. That's me. Look at that.
A big issue I have with the boost is
That was actually such a good fucking stream. Like, boys, that was so good. I cannot get, dude, that was such a, I remember, and then they started getting rid of them. Oh my God. I was so happy that day.
necessarily even the boost itself, but rather what it'll eventually lead to.
Yeah, I
If you
think
let
that's
your
reasonable.
standards slip slowly but surely, I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw a WoW token in Classic at some
Don't they have
point.
WoW tokens in
Releasing
Classic?
the level boost gives tacit.
Don't they have WoW class? God damn it! Don't they have WoW tokens in Classic WoW in China? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's absolutely not a. I don't think that's really much of a slippery slope either. I personally don't think so.
approval to put anything on the cash shop. Hey, the people want to buy things, so let's give it to them. You see this with their cloning method of moving from vanilla to BC.
Yeah, that's actually a
Without
really good
paying,
point.
you can choose to continue your character to BC or move it to a classic era server. But if you pay money, you can do both.
Yep.
Why does this cost money? Well, to make money, of course, but more importantly, the more minor cash shop services you slip in slowly but surely, the more receptive people
to
are to them.
normalize it.
Like, just think about it. How do you implement
TBC streamers on Twitch and YouTube. Well, I'm sure that's a very healthy thread. I think also another element of that is like, if you go back, let me look at this again. Give me 1 second.
first? But more importantly, why does this cost money? Well, to
I think that the reason why it costs money is the same reason. I forgot what I was going to say for a second. The reason why it costs money is the same reason why faction transfers and server transfers cost money. It doesn't really cost Blizzard $30 to do this, but the money there is being added as a barrier to entry, so people don't just do it willy nilly. And I think there's an argument to whether that's a good idea or not, but I think that's actually the reason why Blizzard has it at that price, is to create a barrier to entry to where people don't do it all the time. And also, I think with this, the simple reality is that they don't want to have to spend a lot of money on these classic-only servers, and that's why they're making people pay money to transfer characters over to them. It's just so they can make more money because you're transferring the data. I really think it's that simple.
make money, of course, but more importantly, the more minor cash shop services you slip in slowly but surely, the more receptive people are to them. Like, just think about it. How do you implement cash shop services into a community that isn't very receptive to them?
Yeah.
You slip them in, make them very minor,
Yep.
have these restrictions so you generate a certain amount of people who will do your work for you and try to convince everyone that it's this minor thing. You slowly but
Yep.
surely increase them in their severity until you're at a point where you can buy anything. You may see that as a pretty pessimistic statement. I see it as just paying basic attention to the past 15 years. The level boost,
That's literally what they've done.
race change, faction change services didn't just magically appear in current World of Warcraft in some
I think they should have never let you faction transfer.
patch. They were gradually slipped
mistake.
in there one by one as people slowly let their guard down. And now we're at a point where the only thing you can't buy in the game is raid progression. And even that is a gray area because people will sell carries for gold. And obviously you can buy gold with the WoW token. Also, as a little side note, when searching for groups in current, I find it pretty funny
it's not like that anymore because we took care of those bad boys, didn't we, boys? Yeah, we got rid of them. 200k for cutting edge? Is it really only 200k? There's no way it's only 200k right now.
at least 50% of the listings are done by real-life money boosting services.
Oh, they all are.
I was curious, and I checked out one of the actual websites, and they have a section on why you should boost. And it's so funny that this TOS unfriendly paid service website's reasoning for boosting is remarkably similar to Blizzard's and the pro boosters' reasonings for bringing out the level boost.
Yeah, because it's the same thing. The same thing. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, no shit. Also, if you ever think about using one of these websites, really be careful about doing it, because these websites are, I mean, they usually take advantage of the people that are actually doing the sales, and they will also take your data and sell it. Like these websites have like no ethics at all. So if you give them any information at all, they will take that information and use it against you in whatever way possible. So be really careful with using these websites, and not just for getting your account banned, but also for them taking your personal information and misusing it. Like Facebook and Google and Amazon. If you really want to, no, it's completely different, man. Like, I understand that, like, yeah, Facebook and Google, they do privacy invasion, but at least they pretend like they're not. These people don't even pretend. They don't even care. It's like two different universes.
So why should you buy World of Warcraft boosting services? Come on, guys, the answer is simple.
Yeah.
You'll save tons of your time and make the game more enjoyable. Let's face it, farming/leveling is a time-consuming and tedious activity. Since the early days of vanilla, players have dreaded spending countless hours doing the same things over and over to get pets, achievements, and mounts.
Very true.
Wait, achievements in vanilla? I called Bullcorn. Here at Censored Website Name, we don't think it's the best way of playing the game. That's why we've started the Professional WoW Carry Company to give you more time to play the game how you want.
Professional WoW Carry Company.
This is just hilarious. So this isn't okay because you're paying some third-party website.
Yeah.
But it is okay, and apparently the best idea in the world, but only if you're paying Blizzard. That's just amazing to me. Okay?
Yeah.
Not okay. Okay? Not okay. In fact, I think that would be a fun game. Just take excerpts out of Blizzard's FAQ and this website and show them to people and have them get...
That's dirty. Like, this is... I never even thought about this. Yeah, that is pretty fucking funny. I never even thought about it like this. I've never seen this this comparison made before.
Guess who's saying them? Wait a second here. I thought that if Blizzard sells you all of these services, that means websites like these don't exist. Why do they populate 50% of the listings in the group finder? Why are there so many YouTube videos of various gold farming bots in Shadowlands? I'm seeing a contradiction here.
Yeah.
Can it be that saving the integrity of your game by compromising it yourself isn't as effective as people claim it to be?
Well, they can't ruin the game because we already did. They can't do anything now. Can't ruin it if we already ruined it. Problem solved.
The bottom line is, the whole point of Classic was to go to a time before cash shops dominated the game.
That's true.
It's my personal theory that
true.
they thought that Classic would just be this minor thing that isn't worth monetizing. You see that with them only releasing like 10 servers at launch. Then, oh shit, the people who are fighting to the death that Classic is dumb and no one would actually play it were wrong. Who would have thought?
This is such a good day, man. Like, I remember, dude, the lead up to Classic WoW was actually, like, the fucking best time ever. It was so cool. Like, everybody was playing together. People would always play the game. And you had, like, these stress tests that literally everybody would log on to. Oh, my God. It was so fun. Like, I'm not the only person that fucking remembers that, right? People called it vanilla. Yeah, it was great. Invite to Asmon Lair.
And there are actually a ton of people who play it. There's a lot of money to be had here.
Dude, I remember this.
Look,
my dad even saw this video.
Cash shops. How do we sneak this in here? I know, let's just restrict it and use this new player.
Well,
how do we...
The character boosts are not keeping classic. We don't want to break in. Well, it's not classic. It's TBC. It's TPC classic, which means it's not classic. I mean, come on, that's two completely different things, guys. Come on.
Sneak this in here. I know, let's just restrict it and use this new player as a straw man to see how receptive people are to it.
Yeah.
One of the main issues I have with it is that they're using this poor, downtrodden new player as an excuse to bring out the boost, yet it's available for purchase by literally everyone.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the
new players?
And people either...
the lazy fucking casuals, man. I agree with exactly what he's saying here. Personally, I really do. Again, I said, the strongest argument for boost is like, the community of like classic WoW and everything. But the fact is that, like, if you're paying a mage to do the boost, you are still injecting money into the economy. You're still playing the game. You are still playing your character. There is an interaction that occurs, even if it's like really, really minor. And I think paying a mage for a carry is not the same as buying a boost directly from Blizzard. I really think they're completely different. They're two completely different things. Even though, like, functionally they're the same, I just think that they're totally fucking different. It's worse, dude? Of course it's worse. I do think it's worse. But the point is, like, obviously the outcome is the same, but the impact is completely different.
A, don't see that, or B, they're just willfully ignoring it because they want a 58 without putting in the time to get it.
To be honest, I want a 58 without putting in the time for it.
But it's overused for a reason.
Yeah.
Just because it's true. I've been playing since March of 2005.
I can't wait to boost my Paladin.
I've been down this road before,
it's gonna be great.
and I know where it leads. I remember when they first released the Lil KT and Pandrin pets in the cash shop in Wrath, and players were worried that this will lead Blizzard down a path where players can pay for an advantage. We were told that would never happen, and look at it today.
It did. Yeah, I mauled it out over the, I did that. The Celestial Steed was, like, my first recorded mauled out was over the Heart of the Aspects, right? Like, the Heart of the Aspects was the, that was the big one. But the Celestial Steed, I was really pissed off about that too. Like, I genuinely felt like kind of betrayed back in Wrath whenever they did that. And I didn't really make videos a whole lot then or talk about the game then. So I never really talked to anybody about it. But I remember it did feel like it felt like it was fake. Because, like, before then, everything that you saw in the game, somebody earned. But at that point, I guess besides TCG, I mean, TCG is also another gray area too. But I don't know, like, just being able to buy the mount like that, it just felt wrong to me.
Hey, hell,
now you're
we were told that
accustomed
there
to
would
being
be no
fucked in
level
the
boosting
ass.
classic just over a year ago.
Yeah.
Gee, that lasted long. What, is TBC not classic? I'm confused here. So when I'm told
It's
that,
TBC classic.
oh, it's only to 58, oh, it's only usable once, I have a pretty hard time believing it. I don't have a problem with Blizzard making money. They are a business.
Yeah.
I just think that they make it in ways that are destructive now. They created the best MMO of all time, where it peaked in popularity with zero cash shop.
True.
In the context of a recreation of that game, these services have no place until they were originally introduced.
True.
For example, I wouldn't have a problem with a race change and faction change in Wrath, because after all, that's when they were released. I still don't care for them.
I think faction changes are terrible for the game. I really think they should have never let you do that. In my opinion, I think they should have never let you even race change. Suddenly you care? I have video like 10 years ago, Karen. What do you mean? Yeah, I guess, like, faction change I really feel strongly about. Race change is, like, just me, it's my opinion. Faction change I do actually really feel like was harmful to the game.
But I don't have much room to talk there. Like, can we just acknowledge that World of Warcraft is the most monetized game of all time? Let's just take a look at the different payment models for games
here we
today.
go.
You have your typical upfront purchase.
True.
Typically this is $60 for a full retail release.
Unless
Maybe
you're
later you
buying
have
Cyberpunk.
some DLC that you can buy at an additional cost.
Yep.
You also have the free-to-play games where there's no actual required cost to play them.
Yep.
Instead, they make their money through a cash shop. They range in severity. Some are purely cosmetic, and some give clear advantages over those who don't use it,
Yeah.
commonly referred to as pay-to-win. And lastly, you have subscription-based games. Of course, these are commonly MMOs. A lot of the times the game is free, but you just pay.
Do you guys think battle passes and like FPS games are basically subscriptions? I was thinking about this. Yes, I think they kind of are. Like, obviously it's not the exact same. I've never bought a battle pass in my life, but I do think they're similar.
Pay a monthly subscription to keep playing it.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft has all three. You pay for the expansions, you pay the sub fee obviously, and it has a pretty substantial cash shop where you can buy pretty much anything.
For a lot of money.
Like I said, even raid progression due to the advent of carry runs. Current is current, whatever. I used to complain about it, but people told me to just quit if I didn't like it.
True. Wait, oh
So
my.
I did, and guess what? I wasn't
World of Warcraft player numbers dropped by 41%? What? Yeah, damn. Like, I saw there's a Belluar title of that. I assume that was like bullshit, is it not? Maybe I'll watch that, like, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it later. Okay.
So I did, and guess what? I wasn't alone. But the
Yep.
whole reason why Classic exists is, again, to go back to a time before it dominated the game.
Yep.
And again, Blizzard saving the integrity of their game by compromising it themselves doesn't seem to work out very well.
No, it doesn't.
So at this point, you probably are calling me a pessimist.
Yes.
But again, I just call it paying attention for the past 15 years.
True.
You're treated based on how you've acted in the past. And I'm sorry, the history is there. So if you're getting heated at me for saying these things, just keep in mind that I wouldn't be saying them if Blizzard didn't do them in the first place.
I
So-
just remember remember that speech I gave? Do you remember that speech I gave, poll the chat? I was in ICC whenever they first announced Classic WoW, and about like how I didn't want them to change shit. Poll who quitted? Poll who did quitted. Okay, I will poll who did quitted real quick. Are you actively playing Shadowlands? I'll let you guys, I'll check it in like maybe 5 minutes, okay? Because it's like a little bit slow.
The next time you go and try to convince people how minor the boost is and how
Yeah.
restricted it is, take a look back at the past 15 years and ask yourself a question. Are you trying to convince other people, or are you trying to convince yourself?
Ooh, turn it back on him. Turn it back on him. Use that psychology. I
I'd
love
next
it.
like to bring up the point that it's just paying to skip content.
Yep.
Leveling is such an important thing in MMOs,
Crash?
classic
Yeah,
MMOs
you guys figured it
especially,
out.
and to be
Mod,
able to
just link it
skip
again.
it even once has this butterfly effect that F's up so many other things.
Actually, fuck it.
Now,
Just do a
before you
Twitch poll.
finish your comment, I already know
Just
what
do
you're
a Twitch
saying.
poll, guys.
Leveling in Classic isn't a
Yeah.
big deal because people pay
Thanks,
mages
Mod.
to power level them anyways, which does happen. For those who don't know, there's something in Classic called power leveling, where basically you pay a mage to run you through a dungeon,
Mm-hmm.
and they just AoE everything while you sit at the entrance, AFK, and collect XP.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like a very healthy or natural way to level.
Because
so
it's not.
People use this as a reason to bring out the level boost.
This is-
because we're not
yeah.
losing much, right? I'd like to address this first because it seems to be one of the bigger reasons that the pro boost crowd pushes. I have two problems with this take. First is power leveling is nowhere near as bad as a paid level boost.
Yeah, like, I mean, paying the actual company itself to artificially increase the level of your character with by giving them real money is a totally different universe in my mind than paying another player to help you level in a dungeon. Like, that's totally fucking different. So let's see what the poll is here. We have the fucking main one. 54% is at I quit Shadowlands. And I don't play WoW is at 15%. I'm playing now is at 31. So most of the people that are fucking watching my stream right now, like fucking 70% of the people that are watching my stream right now don't even fucking play WoW anymore. God damn, guys. I'm leveling alts in Classic. Yeah, I was thinking about leveling a Mage alt or something like that. Like, I actually kind of do want to level in Classic. Like, I feel stupid, though. Like, I want to level in Classic WoW the normal way because it's more fun. But, like, there's so much ganking and shit on my server that I feel like that wouldn't be fun. And then also, every time I'm leveling and it's, like, taking me a while, I just feel like I'm stupid for not taking advantage of the boost because of how much easier it is.
For starters, it still takes time and money. The people who power level are players who already have a main character on the server, or those who buy gold, who should be actioned, by the way, because, you know,
shit
against
in their
the rules,
mouth.
and rules exist for a reason. A new player, which is the target primary demographic for the level boost according to Blizzard, can't afford to pay someone to level them from 10 to 58, thus leveling remains to be an important thing that they must progress through just like everyone else. Number 2 is that if we're in agreement that power leveling and the resulting emptier world and emptier leveling experience is such a big issue, why would we destroy any chance of restoring it by giving people the option of paying real life money to skip it? It's a contradictory argument.
That's actually, I really agree with this. The poor state of leveling is important enough to me to use it as an excuse to bring level. It's been not as important enough to actually fix it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the leveling boosts are like a solution either.
There will always be people who dislike leveling, even if mage power leveling didn't exist.
True.
There will always be a fastest method, but even if everyone was naturally in the world, as there were in 04 to 07, there would still be those willing to pay to skip it.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you that they existed back then because I played the game back then. However, they were stonewalled back then because it wasn't designed around a level boost, and I'll provide many examples of why in this video. Leveling has become more of a minor thing in modern MMO design, but players who want that have modern MMOs to play.
That's right.
I thought the whole point was to go back to a time before the modern MMO. Some changes, such as the pre-nerf bosses for increased difficulty, I can understand. As players grow in skill and knowledge, you have to adapt to recreate that experience. But a level boost to me isn't adapting to anything. It's trading money for time for those who want something, but don't want to put in the time to get it.
Exactly.
If you see dungeon power leveling as a big enough issue to use it to rationalize a paid boost, you're not interested in the betterment of the game. You're just interested in fast-tracking yourself because a paid boost doesn't solve the problem. It avoids it. Some people say that dungeon power leveling will be fixed since TBC introduced the AoE cap. Blizzard noticed how powerful AoE was back then, so they limited the total overall damage of several AoE abilities.
Yeah, caps at like 20.
I personally don't think that that itself would fix it, because they missed a big one, and that's the Paladin's Consecrate.
Yeah, Consecrate.
I think that it would...
Consecrate is not AoE capped, and neither is the flame effect on the ground that's left behind after Flame Strike. Because it's not technically an AoE ability, it's like an area that just deals damage. It's like a degen area. Dude, I watched this video on, remember those fucking 4x3 monitors at Jeff's house while we were laying in the bed together, thinking about how we were gonna roll paladins and power level each other in dungeons, dude. Like, honestly, WoW Hobbs was such a huge, like, he was like the guy. I remember watching his videos all the time.
Require further attention, such as an XP nerf when there's a high level disparity within the party. It is already reduced, but clearly with the strategy of these dungeon runs, it's not enough.
Yeah.
This would be another change, of which there are many with TBC Classic, that would bring the game closer to what it was back then, not further away. My take is that if one truly cares about the leveling and the old world, this is the route that you go down. I do think that some people overstate it, and they make it out like literally everyone dungeon power levels to 60. That's just not true. In fact, ever since the announcement of TBC Classic, natural world leveling has seen a resurgence. People are...
Is that really true? Like, I should actually go on to Classic myself and see. Because I don't know. Are people actually going out and leveling on their own? Because if they are, maybe I should do it myself. I think that'd be really fun. I'd like to level a new character in Classic. Not really. On some servers, yes. I'll look into it after this if you guys remind me.
Leveling characters in preparation for the Burning Crusade, which, spoiler alert, That's how the game was designed. And
Yes.
guess what? This
Wow.
all disappears as soon as you release the level boost.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get the argument that leveling isn't a big deal because no one is out in the old world. So let's introduce a paid service that further reduces the amount of people in the old world. Can we all agree
That
that a
solves the
paid
problem.
boost is the definition of rubbing salve on a tumor? If there's an issue with leveling, we should fix the leveling, not introduce a way to pay to skip it. That's the most destructive game design I've ever heard in my life. Like I said, the community at this point is open to changes, and if
Yeah.
we truly care about the leveling experience in the game, we would address the disease rather than the symptoms. And not to stay on the same subject too much, this video is about paid boosts, not dungeon power leveling. I just have one final point here though, because again, this is the most common argument I see to bring in boosts. My last point is the fact that the two of them are just inherently different.
I
Power
agree.
leveling ultimately is a service. You're paying someone in-game currency to do something for you in-game. You see this all the time with people selling tanking services. Some industrious players noticed a shortage of tanks in the game.
Yeah,
so
of course. That's what you do, right? Is like if you're a tank and you got full fucking like imagine you've got like fucking max gear, and like what's your max block value? With fucking tier 3, it's like what 400 or something like that. Like you can literally go into most of these dungeons. You don't even fucking need a healer, and you can just do whatever the hell you want. That's what's so good about this. I know nobody's literally paying attention. Is anybody even watching watching the video? Like, holy shit, guys. What is wrong with you? God. Oh.
they offer their tanking services
I knew this
and
Boogle
knowledge
was a
of
mistake.
dungeon in exchange for gold.
What video?
People will sell summons for gold to save
Yeah.
time for others. And while these services themselves are up for debate,
Yeah.
the fact that it's an exchange between players is a natural and healthy part of the economy. And while I do think that power leveling brings more bad than good, at least it's a service that you buy from another player.
I agree.
With in-game currency.
I agree.
You're not swiping your credit card
Giving them
and
real
paying
life
Blizzard
money.
to skip a core part of the
completely
classic
different.
MMORPG genre. Fixing the leveling instead of neglecting it would do so much good for the game at the same time because it helps with another issue.
Yeah.
And that's botting.
Ooh. Okay.
Anyone who's played Classic before will tell
Yep.
you that one of its biggest problems is botting. They're everywhere, and whatever Blizzard has been doing for all of Classic has not been enough because they're pumping an absolutely ridiculous amount of gold into the
I can say thank you, bots, because having to pay like fucking 400 gold for my flask back in like, mid BWL or like AQ whenever they pretended to care about it for a little while, that was so bad. Like the bots, it's great, dude. It's fucking great because I can actually like on Farlina, it's so disgusting that even now, like how much is a mongoose? It was like 8 gold last time I checked. It's so stupid.
economy. Everything is inflated.
5? Oh, it went
They
down
fund
then.
third-party gold selling websites.
It used to
It's
only be like
bad,
3.
And the level boost, I believe, will make it worse. Let me explain why. One of the puzzling things about bots, people will often
Completely
tell you
normal
is that
players, by
they're
the way.
so obvious. Gee,
Totally normal.
There's sure a lot of guildless hunters with gibberish names running around. Here's a pretty popular spot in Duskwood on my
Yeah.
server. If you go here, usually you'll find a bot, and you can tell instantly. They repeat the same exact patterns,
Uh-huh.
snap to enemies. So,
And
if
then he
they're so
walks in and
obvious,
out.
Then why
Look
are
at
they
that.
also so plentiful?
Oh my
I'll tell you
God.
one of the reasons at least. Because of power leveling, there aren't enough people out in the world to find and report them. I don't think it's a coincidence that when power leveling
Maybe we should go on like a botting fucking expedition in Classic WoW and try to find bots and just report them too. Maybe that's the that's the goal, and we just like go out and we try to find them, and instead of like killing them, a crusade. Yeah, you guys like that idea a lot. Maybe we should do that. That'd be really funny. And Classic's a snooze fest. Well, that's the thing is these people are asleep. We gotta wake them up. We gotta make sure they ain't sleep. That probably honestly that dude is asleep. He's sleeping while this bot's fucking leveling it for him. He's killing tigers while this dude's jacking off on his other computer.
started to become a norm is when the bots started taking over. And bringing
Yeah.
out a paid level boost doesn't bring more people out into the world, it takes them away. So now my idea of nerfing dungeon power leveling sounds a bit better, because not only are you bringing people back into the world this way,
Yeah.
but you're also recruiting more boots on the ground to actually report them and ban them before they do any significant damage.
I like that.
I'm not saying you would catch every bot.
I like that. That's
There are
smart.
bots that level through dungeons, but there are still a ton
harder
that
to
level in
do.
the old world, and you'll find them if you just look. But none of this happens if the level
release
boost
the
comes
Tiger
out,
team?
because it allows so many people to just skip past all of this. And if these people
I'm
would-
pretty sure if the Tiger team was in charge of this, what they would do is they would change the way the rotation of right-click report. So like instead of it saying cheating at the bottom, they'd put cheating on the top, and that would make it easier for them. That's what the Tiger team would do.
otherwise not play if they
It
were
would take them
forced to
6
level
months,
through
by
the
the
old
way.
world? What kind of gameplay experience are we creating here?
Yeah.
Everyone just skips straight to Outland.
Exactly.
The bots continue to run unchecked.
Nobody cares
and
about
we
the
don't
other
fix
world.
the leveling. We ignore it.
Exactly.
While we're on the subject of bots, let's tackle the more obvious issue.
What?
If you think that they're bad now, let's talk about what'll happen if you give everyone the ability to skip to level 58.
Oh,
At least
wow.
right now, you still have to level up from 1 to the 50-ish range to be able to farm enough gold to significantly impact the community. A lot of them don't get caught, but a lot of them also do, I'm sure. I don't know exactly how long it takes. I suppose if you're unchecked, it might take about a week to level high enough. I'm sure it depends on the bot and its efficiency.
Oh,
give or take a
wow.
couple days maybe. But that time spent leveling.
This actually does fast track bots. That is so... I did not think about that at all. Fuck.
is time spent leveling, aka not farming gold. Someone on Reddit actually did the math, which I'll derive from here because they actually made a mistake, but they were on the right track. Assuming 10,000 bots across the game, making 1 gold per hour while leveling, if it takes each bot 200 hours to get to level 58, which I think is a fair estimate, that's 2 million gold and 2 million hours of botting. However, bringing in the boost, you're already at gold farm bot status, and at this level, maybe you farm 100 gold per hour. So let's take that 200 hour investment. Now you've gone from 2 million gold to 200 million gold. But what's that, I hear you say? The boost costs money? Well, yeah, they do, but again, using the same post, let's assume gold sells for $15 per 1,000 gold. So that's $30,000 from gold farmed from 1 to 58. And with boosts, this is 3 million, assuming that the price of the boosts are $40, which I think is also fair. That's a $400,000 investment, and you take that away from 3 million from the money earned from botting at 58, you're netting 2.6 million. It's 86 times more effective than leveling from scratch. Jeez, those
Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that is really, really fucking good. I think this is what happens whenever you have, like, for example, you have these boosts. It makes it so much easier for people to just get up to the max level and not have to worry about it at all. It's actually crazy. Because, like, if you can just boost up, you don't have to amortize the value of leveling. You can just make the money immediately.
goblins weren't kidding.
This
Time
is
is money, friend.
it
And
sure
just so
is.
you know, I'm doing you a favor here and assuming that people will pay full retail price for the boost anyways.
They will.
Which won't happen. I won't speak too much of it, but there's a way that's been around for all of Vanilla Classic where people can basically get accounts for $4 a month. And assuming that the boost is $40 still, it's actually around $8
I don't know how to
using
do
this
that.
method.
I have no
Which
idea.
most assuredly will happen because it's been happening for the past year and a half. But regardless of all of that, there's no way that you can argue that starting off at level 58 doesn't give these bots an enormous head start. At least if they level, you do have time to catch them.
'Cause they're
and
gonna have
stop
gear.
them before they do any damage. At 58, it's straight into the Blackrock depth.
It's kind of like you know how like a fucking frog will lay their eggs in like a small little patch of like dirt, and then the eggs become tadpoles and they have to swim out and like kind of get into the water. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so yeah, there's certain frogs that do this. And we could also use like was it crabs that like the little baby no, it's turtles. How about we use turtles? Yeah, a turtle made it to the water, right? And the turtles have to get to the water. the Blizzard is the seagulls that come down and eat the baby turtles. And you actually want the cycle of life to be as cruel as possible. And that way they don't make it to the water, and the water is being able to make money from botting. No, it's true. It's true. That's the cycle of life. I'm serious.
Or just 12 levels for some Outland bot farm.
Yeah.
The response to this is usually, well, they won't be able to sell that much gold. Well, putting the argument that the defense against this is that bots will be able to farm so much gold that they won't know what to do with it aside, I can't help but feel we have a failure of understanding
because it'll devalue the gold
here.
that people farm legitimately.
The more gold that's in the economy, the less it's worth.
Exactly.
200 million is a lot of gold until it is eventually injected into the economy. Which it will, slowly but surely, because the purchase price will be driven down as it loses value. And sooner or later,
that affects
you're in a
casual
situation
players.
where 1,000 gold now is eventually worth 100 gold, and 10.
Imagine
and 1.
that. That's never happened
before. You can
before.
farm your epic flying training by mining in Nagrand for a day, because the ore sells for 50 gold a pop. You never have to worry about repairing or any of the other gold sinks developed to naturally keep the economy in check. It's just one example of probably
because people are just injecting too much money into the economy. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Of why the game wasn't designed for a level boost, at least in the context of how botting has overrun Classic. A lot of people argue this point, saying that, oh, it's too late, the bots have already taken over, so the level boost making it worse won't make a difference. Again, gets into that same issue with power leveling. Why is it that your first response is to immediately give up? Classic is a game that's much more affected by the economy.
Yeah.
Just look at Vanilla. You can gear up a pretty decent character just through the auction house.
Yep.
You have things such as the Lionheart
Especially
helmet,
now.
Edgemaster's handguards, Titanic leggings, Cloud Keepers. Consumes, I'm sure you know by now, play a huge role in vanilla ratings.
6
and this is
gold,
still true for the
7
Burning
gold.
Crusade. Storm Herald, Lionheart Executioner, Spellcloth.
You actually can't buy Storm Herald because the nether vortexes that you need in order to craft Storm Herald are BOP until the last patch in BC.
And it's not just item availability on the auction house, but rather item availability elsewhere. In Current, you can get gear from raiding on 4 difficulties, Mythic Plus, which are spammable infinitely, and to a lesser extent world quests, your Order Hall, PvP gear that's still effective in PvE. There are many more ways, often way more cost effective, to gear your character. And since all of the gear in Current is basically the same, since it only has 4 secondary stats that are useful for every spec, really, who wants to pay hundreds of thousands of gold for an item when there exists 20 clones of it in other activities?
Exactly.
In Classic BC, it's raiding or crafting and PvP-oriented gear only from PvP. You have much more power in gearing up and buffing your character through gold compared to Current, so it's all the more reason to treat it as delicately as possible. In this aspect, to me, the level boost is the equivalent of letting a bull loose in a china shop.
I know what you're thinking.
And not just with botting, by the way, but also with
I think the strongest argument that MadSeason has had for this entire thing has been the idea that the level boost will actually remove the barrier to entry of leveling for bots and then cause those bots to be able to create negative effects for have those bots create negative effects for the economy much more quickly. I actually think that it's an incredibly big problem that I am assuming Blizzard probably didn't even think of. I bet they didn't even think of this at all.
Mutes, which will serve as
My mom
an
used to make
indirect way of
all the
buying
money
gold,
through
but
selling
we'll
these,
discuss
by the
that
way.
later.
Back in the
For now,
day.
let's just stick on bots. So botting is a big problem. If they've been ineffective in controlling it for the past year and a half in vanilla, what makes you think that they'll magically be more effective in the Burning Crusade?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard the word bot once in this year's BlizzCon at all.
I
But
wonder
the
why.
boost has the potential to turn it from big to huge, and Blizzard will have to patch in a new zone for the Outland called Zimbabwe. And I'm telling you right now, if this paid boost comes out, and the players who use it aren't put under 10 times the amount of scrutiny as other players, this is exactly what'll happen. There are a lot of farms that you can do right from 58. You can even do them while naked, putting old world materials aside because they will still have value, unless they release the profession boost token. You have things such as BRD pickpocketing, to name just one. In fact, let's have a little exercise. Go in-game and do /who rogue Blackrock Depths, And tell me how many guildless rogues you see in there 24/7.
I actually want to try this.
Botters right now are just rubbing their hands looking at the paid boosts.
I want to try this.
Gee, thanks for saving me the trouble of
I
leveling.
wonder how bad it
we can
is.
Get straight to it now. And let's be honest here, this issue goes beyond botting.
Oh, hey, dude. Why did I've never
I
seen
remember
this
watching
type of
this one
walkout
too.
before. What the fuck? Wait.
It's
In
just
general,
Stairway to
cheaters,
Heaven.
If the time investment for re-entry is short, are more likely to cheat.
Oh.
Yeah, getting banned would suck, but if you can just
I can see that guy's good at the game. That's why he understands how to get all the way up there. People that are below him are just bad.
buy another 58 and get right back into it, it's not as big of a deal. Cheaters are bad enough, but now we're setting up an even more ideal environment for them.
Yeah, it's very
Maybe it's
conducive
just
for cheating.
me, but don't you think it's possible that we're going in the wrong direction here?
They've been fly hacking for a week now. I've been watching them for over a week. I reported them. And a week later, they're still here.
Oh my
You know,
God.
maybe if Blizzard would have shown that they were capable of actually controlling botters, teleport hackers, speed hackers, fly hackers at a reasonable level, that would be one thing.
Yeah.
But the simple truth is, they didn't.
They didn't.
Botting and cheating hasn't been addressed in several months. Not one peep from BlizzCon.
Yep.
So how's the community supposed to have any level of confidence that this level boost won't take an already huge problem and amplify it 10 times over?
Dead worlds are unhealthy for MMOs. That's very true.
Let's tackle the next
Like, Blizzard actually solved this problem a lot with cross-realm zones. Like, they solved this problem really well with cross-realm zones, and they just made it to where, like, you're always around other people. It was actually smart for them to do that. I'm actually a fan of CRZ to an extent, but not the extent that Blizzard implements it.
I've now realized that I've done this video out of order because this should have been one of the first things I mentioned. That's the fact that, doesn't it just seem unhealthy to you that in a game with 47 zones, that 90% of the player base is loaded into just 7 of them?
Yeah.
Leveling serves as a barrier for more than just gold making. It's a way to spread players around the world. I thought that one of the biggest appeals of MMOs is that it's this online sprawling world where, no matter what time it is, someone is clearing through the crypts of Duskwood, or skulking through the jungles of the Stranglethorn Vale. Again, another reason why dungeon power leveling has hurt the game. Once more though, to solve this, we shouldn't introduce a way to skip it more effectively. We should fix it by actually fixing it. But again, the boost just completely destroys that, and everyone immediately goes through the dark portal. Some people say that because Draenei and Blood Elves are restricted, that this won't happen, which will be true in the pre-patch when they're released.
It literally doesn't matter because they're going to... It does not matter at all. Like, it's only slightly different.
There's going to be a ton of old world activity.
Yeah.
I like to use ejaculation as an analogy, though.
Okay.
There's this initial burst of activity.
Yeah.
But then DR kicks in extremely quickly, and before you know it, you're shooting blanks. The sperms are all paladins and shamans. And shortly after this, much like my sex life, the old world will die.
Yeah.
And again, how long do you really think that these restrictions will stick? The old world is a part of BC.
Okay,
I don't know where
I
people
like it.
got this notion that
I like
just
it.
because
That
BC
makes sense.
comes out, that the old world suddenly doesn't exist, like it's vanished out of thin air. This is the world of Warcraft, not the world of Outland. And even
just like that's such a good point because that's exactly what Blizzard does now with every expansion. I was actually really happy to see them not do that as much in Legion. I think Legion was a really great example of Blizzard adding extra things, and BFA to a lesser extent, right, with the new Darkshore and stuff like that. But, you know, integrating the legendary quest lines into the old world. And now, why would you ever leave the Shadowlands? You're just playing the same 5 zones, period. That was one of the criticisms I had even of BC, is that it felt like BC just like invalidated everything that was in Classic. It didn't feel like an expansion, it felt like a replacement.
Putting the unhealthiness of 40 zones becoming ghost towns aside, this causes other issues with layering. If you thought that layering was bad in Vanilla Classic launch, wait until you see your entire server with boosts loaded directly into an expansion that's 1/10 the size of its predecessor.
One zone.
This part will happen regardless at launch, but the point I'm trying to make here is that having people in the old world actually leveling would help. By bringing out the paid boost, you're just adding on top of it.
Yep.
Outland, I wouldn't be surprised if on the higher population servers it reaches like 30 layers. No joke. Which is an issue for me because how am I ever going to get on Asmon layer now? On a serious note though, can I get an invite to Kazakh on layer 32 please?
Yeah. Dude, TBC is gonna be so stupid. Like, I really hope, like, my plan right now with TBC is, like, I'm gonna play it a lot for probably the first, like, 3 or 4 weeks. I'll do, like, some content creator, like, Karazhan's, maybe, like, some shit like that. And, like, I'm deciding if we're gonna revive all of the Olympuses or not. I don't know if we... Oh, I don't know if we should or not. Can you imagine that? Like, reviving all of the Olympuses. No shot, special Olympus, yeah, everything.
My next point is, what target audience are we really trying to get here? So again, Blizzard's reasoning behind it are these players who want to play with their friends, but they won't if they're forced to level through the old world. Again, leveling is an important thing in classic MMOs. Just because there are players who dislike it doesn't mean it's a bad thing that shouldn't be in the game.
I love
it's certainly
leveling
become
in
less
classic.
important in the current game because more of the content is focused on that end game. There are a ton of different things to do in end game and current, sometimes too much in my opinion, and leveling is more of a side attraction at this point. I mean, look how fast you can do it with Pokemon pet battles.
Wait, really?
If you hustle through questing through a starting zone and then you knock out the rest through pet battles, you can get into Shadowlands in under 4 hours, and that's anybody. As long as you have a couple good max level pets, anyone can get out into Shadowlands in 4 hours if you hustle.
Is this in the game now? Yo, I love pet battles. We love pet battles. I'm gonna do it today.
It is a little outdated as it's been nerfed.
God
it's now
damn
closer
it!
to 8 to 12 hours. But damn, that's pretty good with never even having to enter combat. Clearly,
Shit,
leveling
man.
has turned from this major thing to a complete side attraction
Wow.
that may as well not even be in the game as far as I'm concerned. Just start everybody at level 50. So it's no surprise that all of these retail players are coming in, then looking at the old world and are like, fuck that. But because it's more of a major thing, that makes it even more damaging if you're able to skip it via a level boost. And that's the key point here. Current is built in a way that leveling is a side attraction. Let's just compare the endgame of Shadowlands to the Burning Crusade. In Shadowlands you have Torghast, the Ma, raids on 4 difficulties, mythics, world quests, PvP of course,
Mounts.
your order hall along with its own currency
Mount
system
farming.
and renown system.
Mounts.
Story quests,
Mount farming.
achievement hunting,
Mount farming.
pet transmog, and mount collecting,
There it is.
and I'm sure more that I'm missing.
Yes.
In the Burning Crusade, you have PvP, heroics, raids, and the attunement for the raids.
Yes.
That's it. So where am I getting with all of this? Well, where I'm getting at is that the boost is designed for modern MMO gaming, where leveling is more of a distraction. It was not designed for a game where leveling is a bigger chunk of that game's content because there isn't as much endgame to keep the players busy. Thus, you're letting people skip a huge part of the game in the context of the classic MMORPG. Interesting.
I completely agree with that, because leveling was the game. Like, most people in Classic didn't even hit 60. Like, in Classic WoW, I think a lot of people probably, they got 60, and then they stopped playing the game shortly after because they were fucking done with it. They were bored. Like, leveling is actually a really good part of the game. It's the best part of the game. That was me, yeah.
Message that the game begins at the high levels, and the leveling is indeed this unimportant distraction that's meant to be skipped over.
What do you mean? Now we can finally play the game.
There are players who, because they find the leveling experience in current dull, maybe they think it's ridiculous that you can level to 50 in one day of pet battles, so they come to Classic instead to fill that void. And if the first thing they see is a paid level 58 boost, how's this player going to react? I know that many of you just refuse to believe it, but there are players who actually enjoy the leveling in Classic. People are already nostalgic of Classic's launch. Even though it was only a year and a half ago, everyone seems to mention how awesome it was to see so many people leveling up.
It would have been, dude, I would have had so much fun leveling and playing in Classic WoW if I didn't play on a PvP server. Like, it actually would have been the best time ever. I totally ruined my experience by playing on a PvP server. It sucks. Like, there were so many... I can't think of a single thing. Some of the Blackrock Mountain fights were cool at max level, but other than that, it was always just like an annoyance. It was so unfun, man. It was so fucking unfun. I would have had so much more fun if I had just played on a PvE server.
The world is active like this. You feel like you're part of this big experience, working with others, competing against others. It feels like a game.
That's my raid.
Crazy, huh?
That's my
When
raid.
your friends hit 60,
wow.
you have this sense of accomplishment. And when
Yeah.
you know that people can just pay for it, what's the point? With a level boost, your accomplishment is that you swiped a credit card,
Big money.
clicked a
Big
button,
money.
and generated a level 58 template. Whoa, what a journey. Someone better tell Joker his world record has been broken. Look how fast I can level.
Yeah.
And what's more, if we're talking about this casual player, which again is the target demographic according to Blizzard, the casual player's game time is much more heavily favored in leveling.
Exactly.
They don't raid
because it's
nor
more on
PvP
rails.
as much, so if they can't be bothered with the leveling, they may as well not even be bothered with the game, period.
Exactly.
I'm all for bringing in more players for the health of the game, but the target demographic for the boost is so skewed and contradictory. It brings a negative element that everyone has to deal with for a demographic that I predict won't even stick around anyways. The idea is that they want to buy the boost because leveling is too time consuming, or maybe it's too grindy or unfun. Well, those players are in for a surprise because if they can't level from 1 to 58, how in the F are they even going to finish the
I was about to say that, dude. Like, farming out all this shit.
attunement to these raids in the Burning Crusade?
Look at that.
The attunement for BC is absolutely huge.
It's big dick.
If we're talking pre-nerf here, to attune to the Black Temple, you have to attune to Mount Hyjal.
Yep.
And to attune to Mount Hyjal, you have to attune to Serpent Shrine and Tempest Keep.
You gotta get that key.
To attune to the Tempest Keep, you have to complete a lengthy quest chain
Course.
that requires you to clear through 4 heroic
Absolutely.
dungeons of 4
Obvious.
factions. But to zone into the heroic dungeons, you have to grind these 4 factions to Revered. And to zone into Serpent Shrine, you need to attune to Karazhan and to
I like this, to be honest. I like the way that they had all the attunements and everything in TBC. You know, ironically, it reminds me of Valheim. So, like, in Valheim, each boss that you kill unlocks a different level of progression. So, like, for example, whenever you kill Motor, you unlock the Artisan Table, which allows you to make the Blast Furnace and the Windmill, which allows you to make Black Metal Gear. Whenever you kill Bone Mass, it gives you... does Bone Mass give you anything? I don't know if Bone Mass gives you anything. I don't remember offhand, but I know, like, Elder gives you the Swamp Key. And so then you can go and like, look in those things. The Wish, yes. Yeah, Bone Mass gives you the Wishbone that lets you, mine for silver. So I in a way, Valheim has these same kind of attunements, and I think that's actually a really cool way of gating the game. It's natural progression.
attune to Karazhan, you have to complete another lengthy quest chain.
You're
You know what I
spoiling it.
mean?
Yeah.
Remember, they also nerfed leveling a little bit in BC.
I know.
Each level requires about 15% less experience compared to vanilla, so I think the 1 to 58 grind is comparable to attuning in BC. Honestly, leveling is probably more time consuming, but I think
You
it's in
count
the
all
same
of them,
league,
yeah, maybe.
and even putting that aside, the raids in BC might be pretty damn tough. It was confirmed that we're getting the pre-nerf versions
Okay.
of these bosses, which went unkilled.
The raids in TBC are going to make Nax look like a joke. But to be fair, Mythic Castle Nathria is going to make the raids in TBC look like a joke. Like, this is not going to be anywhere near the difficulty of, like, any current raid. But it will be a lot harder than Classic.
By like 99% of the player base back then. This demands even more knowledge and even more time in building your character properly, understanding each boss fight and its mechanics. And furthermore, especially in the context of re-releases, we all agree that Classic's worst enemy is stagnation, right?
True.
Eventually you will, quote, complete the game and run out of stuff to do. It's unique
True.
in the fact that it's an MMO with a planned end. At least that's what everybody's been telling me for the past 2 years. So
True.
why now is it suddenly okay to start paying to skip content and move people along more quickly to that finish line? If you're rationalizing a level boost because it takes a lot of time for someone, you're directly developing against one of the biggest weaknesses of your game. It'll cause players to finish the game faster, and therefore it will stagnate faster than it otherwise would have
Exactly.
if the level boost wasn't part of the design. If someone won't play TBC Classic because they don't have enough time to level, or they think it's too grindy, a level boost just
That's like, it's like the same thing, man. It's like imagine you go to like a fucking place that sells hot wings, and you're like, man, everything here is always so hot. Man, why is everything in the hot wings place so hot? This is crazy. Why can't they just do normal wings at the hot wings place? It's like, you don't want to waste your time on something. Don't fucking play an MMO.
Delays the inevitable because other very basic things in BC are extremely time consuming
Oh, dude,
and
that
grindy.
axe. Jeff bought that
So
axe.
I ask again,
He's
who's
such an
this
idiot.
boost for? For people to just
So,
level
why
up
would
to
you buy
70
that
and
axe?
then
It was-
quit
it was
once
so
they hit
bad.
the
Seeing
attunement?
Crystal Axe.
Your response might be that, well, what's the problem then if they're
It's
just
so
going to
bad.
quit? Surely that doesn't affect you, does it? Well, no, it doesn't, but all of this other stuff in this video does.
He used his mom's credit
So
card to buy
I
gold
answer your
with it for it,
question
to
with
buy it,
another
though.
question.
Okay.
If nothing is gained but money for Blizzard, then why does it exist?
Money
It only
for
brings the
Blizzard.
bad stuff in that case. But maybe the problem isn't starting from scratch. Maybe the problem is starting from scratch behind everyone else.
Okay.
Maybe the reason why people want to skip leveling is so they can just get in there and play with their friends.
Yeah.
Which, after all, is the whole point of multiplayer games.
I think that's true.
Of course, grinds are always more fun with buddies, right? I get the question, is it too late to start Classic all the time? Because, understandably so, it sucks to pick up the game when everyone is level 60 and all geared out.
Yep.
People don't want to start behind and level from 1. This is an issue I can get behind, but first, can we just acknowledge that this was the case back then?
Shimlexon,
We
thanks
didn't
for
get
the
a
10
paid
subs. I
boost,
appreciate it.
and I
Thank
don't
you.
know, it seemed to work out pretty well for them,
Sure
don't you
did.
think? Starting from behind is an unavoidable downside of MMOs, since MMOs have existed, and if it were really as big of a problem as people are making it out to be, why is it that in current, with its many different ways to catch up, such as these new loot islands, or scaled up gear from every other activity, or I don't know, level boosts,
Yeah.
that it still to this day has struggles keeping players subscribed?
Because the game is, the thing is, like, he's right, but also people play games differently now. People are just so much better and faster at playing games now. It's crazy. Like, if you want to figure out how to, it's metagaming. Like, it's like hardcore, like, it's like metagaming. You guys have no idea how big it is. Because, like, every game now, if you want to figure out how to kill, like, any boss in a video game, like, let me just look at, just a random thing. How to kill, Guardian, let's see, let's look at, fucking Nameless King. Look at all these videos. Okay. So you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, people just play games differently now, and they're just better at video games. The general competency for video games is way higher now than it was 15 years ago.
Throughout all of this, it still has retention issues. They hide their sub numbers,
watching
obviously, and redefined what success means for them.
Yeah.
But the consistent server merges speak pretty loudly, I think. When you allow people to skip this hurdle, you're gaining a player base with a high turnover rate because they're not as invested into their characters. If you keep
True
this hurdle,
and real.
the players you gain, although fewer, will have more of a chance to stick because of the time and effort required to get on the same
It's a
footing
healthier-
as
yeah, it's a
everyone
healthier
else.
community.
And this includes not only gearing, but also leveling, especially in the context of Classic. It's how they built their player base in the first place. It's short-term gain versus long-term gain. Again, referencing here that I feel like Blizzard makes money in ways that are destructive to their games these days. But as I said,
They
it is
do. I think they exhume money from their IPs now. It's like you're withdrawing integrity from the game. You are withdrawing quality from the game, and they make money at the expense of the game, and that's what I worry about.
something that comes up a lot. And I can always get behind the idea of making it easier to play with friends because
Yeah,
that just amplifies
of
the
course.
experience many times over. So for the sake of constructiveness, I offer a healthier solution.
Okay, what is
Fresh PC servers are such a huge request that I'm very surprised that they confirmed that they will not be out at launch. Due to the aforementioned botting issue and Blizzard's failure to control it, there are those who won't play unless fresh servers come out. People want fresh BC, and although I'm not sure everyone is willing to reroll, if one of the reasons to bring out the boost is so people can play with friends, I think this is a way more healthy alternative to get new players into the game. It's
just such a massive barrier to entry to like ask people that have already leveled in Classic to do the entire thing over again. But I guess like here's the thing though, is like if they did a server like this, then only the people that would want to would play on that server. So it's not like it's either or. Like you could have both, like what he's saying here, and it wouldn't even matter. I don't know. What would you guys want to play on a fresh server, or would you want to play on like a progression server? Because for me, I think I'd probably want to play on a progression server. That's the truth. Because I've already leveled up my fucking character. I've already done that, and I don't want to have to deal with it all over again. But if I hadn't leveled before, if I've like never played before, then yeah, I'd want to play on fresh too. Yeah, I already done it.
Starts off together, and you're knocking out two birds with one stone.
Y'all can poll it
so
if you
many
want.
people were let down by the news of no fresh. If not enough people playing is a big worry, you can balance that out with the people that you'd lose by removing the boost and gaining the ones who are going to quit if they don't release fresh BC, which to me, based off of my channel feedback and the forums I've been reading, it's a substantial number. If you're one of these people, by all means, let your voices be heard.
I really don't think that people are not going to play TBC because of some of the botting stuff. Like, I really just... I think that, like, that number is so small, it's irrelevant.
I have friends who loved everything they heard about TBC Classic. They loved the pre-nerf stuff, Paladin seals, no world buffs. But they're not playing because they don't want to play in a broken economy. Some have over 100 days playtime. And that's really the crux of this video, is that there are more healthy ways of solving these issues that are used as reasons to bring in a paid service.
Officially endorsed gold buying. Dude, I remember one time, so fucking my mom, back in TBC, she would make all of her money through alchemy. And she was a transmute master, which means that she could... Fucking my mom. Shut up, man. Like, you know how I talk. You know that's not what I meant. You know that, dude. Listen, she fucking was playing Burning Crusade, and she was a transmute master. And there was one time that she if you're a transmute master, you can proc extra things whenever you do a transmute. Like, instead of making one, you make 3. There was one time that she procced 5 primal mites out of 1. I remember she was like, Zach, get in here. Get in here, quick. Quick, look at this. She was so happy. It was such a big fucking day, man. Yeah, get the camera. I probably have a screenshot of it.
On to the next point, gold buying is also always an issue.
Yeah, they send me these mail too. Like, I get the same shit.
How would you feel if I told you that the level boost is indirectly an officially endorsed way to buy gold? Transmute alts are very powerful in Classic.
Oh, wow.
I used them to fund my rank 14 grind. For those who don't know, certain professions
have
these
real
transmutes that you can only do once per day.
Real and
or
true.
every few days to turn not so useful items into useful items.
Yes.
And because it's on a cooldown, they're worth money, and you see in trade chat all the time, people selling their transmutes.
Yep.
They don't even have the materials. The buyer provides that.
Yep.
They just buy the
click the
cooldown. That's it. BC, of course, also has these transmutes. Yep. Spellcloth, Primal Might, Primal Mooncloth, and more. To learn the recipe for these transmutes, though, you have to have a certain character level.
74%
The developers
fresh?
recognized back then, if people could just train these professions right out the gate, it would break the
Fresh is
fragile
hype.
balance of these profession cooldowns.
I didn't expect that hype.
For the important vanilla stuff, it's level 35 to train up to 300 skill.
Damn.
And for the Burning Crusade stuff, it's 50 to train up to 375.
Oh, so you can do it all the way with the
good to
boost.
go with the paid 58 boost.
Yeah.
You do still need to level the actual profession.
That's
of
a huge
course,
investment,
but the bulk
though.
of the work is done.
Yeah.
It's just another example of how the game wasn't designed for a paid level boost. It's a package deal that indirectly also brings in gold buying. So my question
This is actually a really good insight that he brings up. I never thought of this.
to you is, after playing Vanilla Classic for a year and a half, Do you honestly think that the community wouldn't exploit this to its fullest extent? Like, this is the classic community we're talking about here. These are people who will raid log their characters for 6 days with world buffs, level an alt of
I still have my character with the Dark Moon Fair buff. Because I might raid next week, and I didn't come into raid last week.
Same class so they can actually play the game, but end up doing the same thing with that alt, funny enough. You have players running over a dozen accounts, camping each and every Black Lotus spawn in an entire zone. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with min-maxing and parsing itself. That's what you like, and you guys know my opinions on world buffs. But the point I'm making here is that the classic community is the definition of min-max. They don't min-max, they are min-max, and will do anything.
I think classic WoW players are more min-max than retail WoW players, which is kind of fucking funny whenever you think about how easy the raids are.
Anything and everything to eke out every last percentage of advantage that they can possibly get. So do you really think that they wouldn't buy new accounts solely to bypass the 1 per account restriction?
100%.
Spam transmute alts?
100%.
And this is assuming it's still $15
100%.
a month. Assuming that the boost is 40 or $8 still, that's 55 or 12 as an entry fee, and 15 or 4 a month depending on the player. Like I said earlier in the video, to some that's a lot, and to others it's nothing, which creates an unnatural discrepancy between players who have more or less disposable income. I already know that you're going to say that people buy Golden Classic anyways.
They do.
Again,
that's true.
It's the same give up and fold mentality that people
just give up. That's the solution.
Rules exist for a reason, and a failure in enforcement doesn't warrant an officially endorsed compromisation of the game across the board. Another point that people bring up is the fact that not everyone will buy the boost, or very few people will buy gold through the multiple account transmute alt method. Only a small percentage of players will. Well, first, I don't think that's necessarily true, and two, even if it is a small percentage, are we really still at the point where we can say that in a multiplayer game, a small percentage of the player base doing something doesn't have a massive effect on everyone else? Even putting all of the other points I've made in this video aside, only a fraction of the population multi-boxed, and I don't know, it seemed like it affected the game quite a bit.
That was such fucking dude, multi-boxing? I thought that was so funny whenever they got rid of multi-boxing. I really did. I thought that was so funny because you had these people that like invested thousands of dollars and now it's worth nothing. Fucking idiots. They're spending a bunch of extra money just to get an advantage in the game. What a bunch of losers.
And botting as well. Like I said, they're a big issue, but are they the majority of the player base? Of course not. They're still a percentage of the player base, and do you really feel like bots haven't had an effect on the game?
They have a little guess how much they are. Considering the vendor price is 2 gold, that much you reckon? Do you want to lower your guess
gold.
at all?
I'm pretty sure
if
on
you
my
said
server.
4 gold, 99 silver, you were right. A righteous orb for 5 gold. What?
They used to be like 25.
I feel like when you see the real-time prices of items go up after a ban wave, warrants that they have a pretty big impact on your gameplay
why does that happen?
When did we as players earn this great privilege to pay Blizzard to allow us to skip critical parts of their game? Leveling is character progression in the context of Classic, and paying for progression with real-life money compromises its integrity. I see the whole thing as arbitrary anyways. The main reason Blizzard brought up is that there's this group of people who find leveling boring or too time-consuming to be bothered with it, but you can say that with just about anything. The attunement is time-consuming. All of my friends are attuned and I can't go into the same raids as them. Where's the boost for that? Farming gold is time-consuming and grindy.
I remember that. I fucking remember that shit. Because I had one of my characters, I couldn't take it into Karazhan. That is a truth. They got rid of the attunement. Well, they phased them out, and they made them a little bit more relaxed, but they didn't get rid of attunements until like the very end of TBC. It was like the fucking pre-patch almost. They got rid of the attunements. Yeah, 2.4. Yeah, like I thought attunements were a good idea. Like I like attunements if they're account-wide. Account-wide attunements I love. Character-wide attunements I hate.
Why should we be forced to do it? I already farmed to get my flying mount once. There's no reason to force me to do it again.
True and
Let's
real.
bring out the WoW token.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, that was a mouthful. Can you tell I care about the game yet? And hell, I think you too if you've made it this far.
Yeah.
Whatever you think about all of this, if nothing else, I think we can agree that we do all care about it. We just see it in different ways. In summary, I do see the good in the boost. More players are always better, but I believe it to be short-term because it'll lead Classic down a road that caused players to quit the game to begin with.
Yeah.
I think if you really believe that these restrictions will be in place forever, I got a bridge with your name on it that I'd like to sell to you. I think that there are much more healthy solutions for the problems that people are using as a reason to bring out the boost. If people skip past leveling anyways by paying for power leveling, nerf dungeon XP further when there's a higher level in the party or something to that effect. And if people don't want to start behind their friends, release fresh servers, and give them the option to start together. This is a compromise. Of course, there will be those who aren't willing to reroll, but hey, it's an option. And there's already a huge demand for it, so why not?
I don't know.
Like, not even one fresh...
It sounds weird, but like this whole video, like the one thing that it did is it made me want to re-level in fucking Classic. Just like thinking about it and everything, it's just like, oh man, remember like that was back in the day and you're leveling up your character and then just like seeing him run around with like that shitty armor on and everything. Like, yeah, it did. Like, I remember I actually talked to MadSeason before he made this video. Let me see. I'll expose the DMs. Okay. Okay, I will show you guys the screenshot of the fucking DMs I had with them after this, okay?
BC server? Really? Not one? These options revitalize the old world, get more boots on the ground to report botters, and give friends a chance to play together, all at the same time, keeping Classic World of Warcraft classic. The level boost gives friends a chance to play together more easily, as one doesn't need to reroll nor re-level, but at the same time, it causes irreversible damage to the game in my opinion. In my eyes, it creates more problems than it solves, and opens up the door to all manner of cash shop services. Now, will the boost be enough to make me stop playing? I don't think so.
No,
I'm still
it's
hyped
not
for
that
the
big
game,
of a deal.
man. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I think Blizzard has done a really good job with a lot of this other stuff, and I think it's going to be a rootin' tootin' good time all around. And hey, maybe that's what they're counting on.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I do feel like at the end of the day, it's all pissing in the wind. Do I really think they'll change their minds?
I hope
Probably
they do,
not.
but I don't think they
I
will.
wish they would, and
I
trust
agree
me,
with that.
This is something I'd love to be wrong on, but probably not. And just to let you guys know, right now is your only shot because once this thing is in the game, it's in there forever.
It's never
because
going
once
away.
People start buying it.
Yep.
They have the excuse of, well, gee guys, our hands are tied. We can't just let some people buy the boost and then just stop offering it.
Oh,
come on,
God.
That wouldn't be fair. So rest assured, no matter how much damage this causes, once it's in, it's in. I think it would be a good move.
Oh man,
Seriously,
this is
how much
so
respect
sad.
would Blizzard get if they announced that? You know what? This isn't Classic. Leveling is character progression.
It is.
And people wanted to skip it back then in the original release. And we didn't let that happen because it would have hurt the game back then, and it would hurt the game today. You see that big statue outside of your building? The one with the first of your 8 core values? The one that says gameplay first. I'm just saying that if you guys tasked me with creating one of the best games of all time, my first thought wouldn't be to offer you a paid service to skip over a major part
Over
of
the
that
gameplay.
game. And I find it pretty
Now instead of gameplay first, it skipped to gameplay first.
ironic that people are lauding one of the very features and the game must adapt
Simple.
to me mindset that caused them to quit Current in the first place. If nothing else, I just wanted it to be known that MadSeasonShow does not approve. He thinks that it's a bad move that'll hurt the game. The cash shop is something I've been very vocal about in Current, so I feel like I had to share that with Classic as well. A lot of people will reply with stop crying, but guess what? Classic wouldn't exist in the first place if people didn't, quote, stop crying about it.
True.
You think you do, but you don't.
Great games are made from criticism, not from people who refuse to acknowledge that there's more than one side to a discussion.
The funny thing about that, look at Jay. Look at Jay. Look how happy he is. Look how brown his hair is. His hair is completely brown. Not gray at all. Now look at Jay. That's the difference between being a developer and being the fucking president. Like, that dude's got solid gray hair now. He's so fucking stressed out, probably all the time, constantly. It sucks.
This video and the whole situation in particular has really left me feeling burnt out.
Called aging?
So much so that I think I'm going to
take
a
lot of
bit of a mini
aging.
break here. Nothing too crazy, maybe just a week or two away from it because I do feel a bit drained. I mean, this is a 1 hour video of an unpleasant subject to me. Out of the 630 videos on my channel, this is the only one I didn't want to make. But I made it because I doubt very much that you guys are subscribed to me because I'm afraid to share my true feelings, regardless of how they're received. Classic has had its problems, like I said, but I mean, you can't argue the fact that it put 150 days into it since its release. Clearly, overall, I've had a great time with it. I've met a lot of like-minded people, and I'm lucky to say that I've made good friends through it. It's had a very positive effect on my life, and no matter what else I've said in this video, I want to give a big thank you to not only the devs, but you, the viewer, as well, for giving me your time, as you've done so many times. But you gotta look at it from my perspective. I've slowly watched, over the course of 16 years, one of my favorite hobbies of all time turn into something that I have little to no interest in.
Sad.
That itself is bad enough, but to see that happen twice, to see the start of it going down this old familiar road of, oh, I don't have enough time to level, so the game itself and everyone else playing it must adapt to me. That really sucks, and I feel pretty comfortable in saying that I think I speak for a lot of people on that one.
I agree.
Again, you may say it's not a big deal, that I'm over-exaggerating it. All I have to say to that is I have 16 years of experience under my belt.
I actually didn't think that it was a big deal until MadSeason brought up the point of botting and how much this removed the fixed cost of investing into a bot. Like, now that he brought up the point of botting, I actually think that this boosting thing is bad. Like, everything else about it, I think it's like a wash, right? Like, who gives a fuck? But the botting part is genuinely harmful. Like, this is genuinely bad. And it's like, you ever have like a lot of hope in something and you're like, oh, you know, maybe this time it's gonna be different. Well, we've had that with bots and Blizzard for 16 years. It's not. It's gonna be the same motherfucking shit. They're gonna not pay attention to it. They're gonna do a ban wave. People are gonna be like, oh, that's nice. And then 3 days later, it's gonna be an issue again. And that's it. That's what I'm worried about. It enables faction transfers. It's different than that, okay? They did get rid of multi-boxing, true. Blizzard does do some things right. Dealing with botting is just not one of them.
16 years of history of the game becoming what it is, and you have the word of a company who's already gone back on their word multiple times.
Yeah.
I just don't see how you can look at this laundry list of issues and say, you know what? I'm okay with the old world being abandoned and 90% of the server going straight to an expansion that's 1/10 the size of its predecessor. I'm okay with botting going from bad to horrible.
Yep.
I'm okay with creating an ideal environment for cheaters. I'm okay with people being able to indirectly buy gold. I'm okay with Blizzard saying that the target audience for this boost are those who don't have a high-level character, yet the boost is available for purchase to everyone, even those with 60s already. I'm okay with creating in-game advantages based off of real-life wealth disparities.
Ooh,
I'm okay
we
with
love
leveling
that.
remaining in a poor state.
This is America.
And instead of fixing it, Blizzard is allowing us to just pay to skip it. I'm okay with speeding players closer to stagnation in a game whose worst enemy is stagnation. And I'm okay to opening Pandora's box to all manner of cash shop services, because Blizzard now has approval to offer you services that you deem to be too time-consuming, grindy, or unfun, and that if Blizzard can say that, oh, people don't want to level, so we're giving them the ability to pay to skip it, and you support that, that means that they can say it for literally anything in the game, and it's all for this demographic of player who'll struggle to even play the game, because if they don't have time to level, they don't have time to do the time-consuming or grindy thing.
It's like, I don't have time to level. I have to get in to do a 3-hour fucking heroic, so I can unlock another 3-hour fucking heroic, so I can do the 4th 3-hour heroic, so I can do the 7-hour raid. But I don't have time to level.
Things that are required to even play BC at a very basic level. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Peace.
So here's what MadSeason and I said. Here's what I said to him. You know, pick up streaming again for TBC and missed your reaction to my videos. Like, yes. Curious to your thoughts on level boost. Funniest thing, people advocate for the same things made them want a classic first place. Since I have a lot to say. I said, thank God. That'll be an entire stream. There it is. That'll be an entire fucking stream.